Nothing about my life has been normal. Nothing at all. However, I have always lived in the way that I made my own money. I took care of my children. I had my own space my whole life. I worked in healthcare for quite some time. I worked in content sales, and I thought it was really bad. I thought, honestly, it had a really, really bad effect on me, bad impact on me. But yeah, so all of the bad stuff started, like they started stealing my makeup and doing all this stuff when I started getting like promoted in life. It felt like I went from being like this mom who was so like scared and alone and like regular to like a go-getter, you know? And I was like getting money and taking initiative and growing my business and learning business. And for the first time in my life, I was realizing that I could make money without being employed, you know? And that's when everything started going crazy, like crazy shit, you know? Like I told you guys before, the robberies and all that shit. So in like a matter of 6 months, I was getting beaten up, sexually assaulted. My makeup was all stolen from me. Most of my clothing was stolen. My furniture was all stolen. I pretty much escaped that relationship with nothing other than my electronics. My computer, my MacBook, my desktop Mac, my TVs, and like 3 bags of clothes, literally. And maybe like a case like that small of makeup, or smaller than that of makeup. And I had like a big case of makeup that they stole, like a lot of makeup, and like all expensive. I would say my makeup bag that they stole while I was in biopsy probably cost about $500 would be my guess. If you consider that the foundation that I used to wear was $63 a bottle, and there were 2 bottles of foundation, that in itself is $120. Now add in the palettes, the mascaras, the setting powders, the bronzers. I mean, for sure, I had $500 worth of makeup in that bag easily, and they stole it while I was literally having a biopsy. I'm not so much like concerned with who did it as I am concerned with why no one is helping me like fix it, like whatever it is, you know? If a woman or man came up to me and they were like, dude, I got sexually assaulted and beat up and I reported it to the law and I filed court paperwork for help, and still to this day, 4 years later, no one has been of any assistance. And because of that abuse, I was thrown into the street with nowhere to live and separated from my children and stalked out of like 20 different jobs and all this stuff. Like, what goes on? Like, how? This is why I say, are we in a simulation? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, where can you live in America where all of that stuff can happen and you can report it and they never show up to help you? Like, besides like the hood. I'm not in the hood. Look where I'm at. I'm in the downtown area regularly, daily. Just doesn't make sense at all, you guys. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And then what doesn't make even more sense is that now that we're here, like after I got out of that relationship, I never went back. I would call that person like only when like I would get robbed or like when bad stuff would happen, because I 100% blamed him for everything that was going on in my life. Like, I never called him asking him for money, even though he owed me. I never called his mom asking her for money, even though he reported that on his TikTok. He says all this stuff on his TikTok and none of it is true. And I swear to God to you, I wish that Xavier and I could go for like a conference call with me, him, and his third party, his third wheel, it'll never happen because they're so full of shit, you guys. Do you ever meet someone like that like they have no problem telling a world of lies about you? But when you confront them, especially in front of others, and you're like, let's get to it then. Like, let's sort it out. They want nothing to do with it. Like, they're so big and bad talking about you, or I don't even think about that person. That person has nothing to do with me. Like, bitch, you robbed my house and left your hat under my bed with your name embroidered in it. Clearly, definitely, you think about me, even if you're just thinking about me to rob me or steal what's mine. Like, you've been thinking about me, you know? And for him to go on TikTok and tag me in a post that says, my mom just gave Heather $300 yesterday. What? Never, not once. Never. Not once. Never. We've got to be in a simulation. Like, we just have to. We have to be in a simulation. There's no way. There is no way that this is real life. And now, after everything that I've been through and getting pregnant with Weston while I was on birth control, while I was being held in a tent, assaulted in the tent, robbed pretty much on the regs, beat up, like held down, oppressed in every way, not allowed to work, stalked, having my stuff taken from me, being slandered online, being harassed in real life, all of that stuff. And we finally get into a shelter situation where they tell us this is the last shelter that we will be in. They are going to give me our apartment or our house from here. And then last week they come to me and tell me, like, everyone has to go. The winter bed program is closing. Like, listen, lady, this is not a winter bed program. What the fuck? We're in July, okay? It's July tomorrow or today. This is not a winter bed program. This is a shelter, a long-term shelter. We were at the short-term shelter for 2 weeks. They transferred us here and told us we would be here until we got our apartment. How come everyone else in the building got their apartment? Literally. 170 rooms in this building. Every single person is gone except for maybe 5 or 10. And because they got their apartments, but me and Xavier are the only ones who don't. And now they're trying to separate us. I emailed the lady. I'm like, please don't separate us. I'm like, please. They were raping me in the street before this. I'm like, we have a baby in the system that we are doing everything in our power to get out. Please help us. Please help us. She's going to respond tomorrow and tell me what to do. I was like, please, at the very least, let us stay here until the 8th. I do not want to go to a bunch of other places and be separated. And it's just so scary, you guys. I can't even like wrap my mind up around any of this shit. It's like, you would think that at a certain point, a person's life, like, you know what? Okay, let me be positive. This is me. This is my internal chatter. I'm like, you know what? Let me be positive about this. We all have karma, right? So I know I'm a good person. I know for a fact. That's why I said in the beginning, I have never been a shyster. Never have I ever been a shyster. So, you know, when it comes down to it, I know I'm still missing my charger. I have no idea where oh no, I found it. When it comes down to it, I know for a fact that I don't deserve the things that have happened to me. I know I don't. So with that being said, that I know I don't deserve the bad things that have happened to me, and trying to put a positive spin on things, it's like, well, I must really be putting work into my positive karma bank. All these bad things are happening to me. For every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. So I got stabbed. So that must mean that someday soon, someone is going to caress me and hug me and give me money and make me feel like the most beautiful, loved woman that exists, right? Maybe it'll be Xavier. Maybe Xavier will hit the lottery and him and I will be able to raise our son, and my other 3 children will be able to have a room in our house and come and go as they please. Maybe all the ways that people have harmed me, getting beat up by these dudes and strangled and sexually assaulted, maybe that was all so that in the near future, someone can love me so much and treat me so nice, you know? Maybe they stole all my makeup because God wanted me to have better makeup. I really don't know. But I say it must be a simulation because it's like there cannot be people on earth who are going through shit like that, as much shit as I have gone through. I'm not trying to compare. I really am not trying to compare. I swear to God. But you guys, they got my baby in the system and my 3 children are with their dad, and I'm a mom before I'm anything, and they are separating me from that identity for no reason. I swear to God, for no reason. There are bitches out here bogus as hell doing drugs. The drug they said I did was pot. Pot's a drug. It's legalized in the state of Illinois, and I don't even take, prescription medication unless it's a prenatal vitamin, but I'm out here doing drugs, please. They're out here saying that I'm doing this and that. I'm not doing any of that shit that they say I'm doing. And it makes you wonder, like, who wins by lying on me? Who is winning by lying on me? I don't get it. I don't understand at all. That's why I keep saying, like, this has got to be a simulation. In what world do I live in where... And did I tell you guys the story about the fleeting and eluding that they charged me with? I have no criminal record, okay, none. They put me in all these situations, and then once the police are like, grab me, they figure out what's going on, and it's never my fault. Like, not because I have refused to take accountability, but because it's really not my fault. Listen to this. So I had my car before they destroyed it. I'm at Walgreens on the corner of Mannheim and Roosevelt Road. Roosevelt and Mannheim. Yep. Roosevelt and Mannheim. Do you guys know it's like Hillside, LaGrange? There's like a Target right there, a Krispy Kreme. They have like a whole bunch of stores like in this little area. I come out of that little area. I go heading south on Mannheim. It turns into LaGrange Road. I take a left onto Roosevelt Road, I believe it is, and turn into the Walgreens parking like that. I go to get my prescription. I was picking up prescriptions. 2021 or 22, I think. Walgreens is like, we don't have your prescription in stock. You have to go somewhere else. I'm like, okay, no problem. Thank you so much. I never got out of my car. I had my seatbelt on the entire time. I was doing nothing wrong. I pull out onto Roosevelt Road heading east. Immediately, I get lit up. The cops are behind me. But it's not a cop car for any city. It's a cop car, all black, tinted as fuck, with one of those lights like that are just... I don't know how to describe it. They're like black, the lights, and like the whole car is black. And so I pull over right away, and I'm like, what the fuck, this is ridiculous. I don't know if that's Westchester right there, or if it's Broadview, or if it's, I don't know what it is, but I pull over immediately. I roll my window down. The cops refuse to get out of the car. I noticed something crazy going on. BLM is during this time. And when I was downtown, during the BLMs, I was witness to dudes, grown men, being dragged out of their vehicles at red lights and people just taking off in their cars. Just taking off. And I was scared. The news was reporting on a lot of the stuff that was going on during that time, like scary shit, you guys. Cop cars were overturned downtown, on fire. Have you ever seen a car on fire, like in front of the Wrigley building? It was like, what the fuck? Urban Decay, is more than just a makeup brand. And piles of bricks on the corners during the protests. Like, who the fuck put piles of bricks out there? Like, it was just crazy, you guys. It was so scary. It was very, very scary. So I'm pulled over, and the cop is like looking at me, he's like yelling over the thing. You're in danger. You're in danger. Please pull over. Please pull over. And I'm already pulled over. So I'm like, I roll my window down and I'm like yelling to the cop, like, I'm like this. I'm like, to the cop, And I'm like turning around, I'm telling him, come on, like come to my window already. Like, what the fuck are you doing? We were sitting there like 4 or 5 minutes. So the cop goes like this, like, and I'm like, no. He wanted me to like pull off of the shoulder at Roosevelt. There was hardly any traffic. It's like a 6-lane street, hardly any traffic, like a Sunday afternoon or something, super, super slow outside. I'm in the shoulder, and he wanted me to like pull into like this dark alleyway, and I'm like, nope, not going. I'm like, not going. No, sir. No, sirree, Bob. So the cop says again, like, go over there. And I'm like, no. I'm like, you come here. And I go live. I go live on my phone, and I put my phone in, like, I was driving DoorDash. I was Dasher of the Month at the time. And I put my phone in my little, like, you know, thing, and on my windshield, and I went live. Boop. So I'm live during this on Instagram at the One Heather GEE account. And I say it again. Now we're at like minute 6, 7 that I've been sitting there, and the law's not coming out of the car. So I get on my other phone. I always have another phone on me. Pro tip: even if your other phone does not have service, you can always dial 911 from it. Keep your burner phones, keep your extra phones, keep your old phones, keep your non-working phones, keep your shattered phones. Always have an extra phone on you, because you can dial 911 from them with or without service. So I had an extra phone on me, and a lot of content creators have multiple phones, because you need one phone to shoot, you need one phone to talk, whatever you're doing, whatever. So I had this extra phone on me. Not this exact one, but another one. So I call 911. And I'm going live still. And I'm on the phone with 911. I'm like, hi, my name is Heather Gillespie. I'm driving a Cadillac CTS in the color champagne. I gave her my license plate number. I'm like, it's my car. I have no warrants. I have no criminal record. I'm pulled over on the south east corner of Roosevelt Road and LaGrange Avenue. I'm not sure what town this is. There is a black unmarked truck who has some sort of lights on his car who has pulled me over. And I want to know if you can verify that this is an actual traffic stop. I swear to God to you guys, on speakerphone, on the live, this lady goes, I can neither confirm nor deny that this is a traffic stop. That was all I needed to hear. I dropped the phone. I put the car into drive. I took off. In that exact moment, not 30 seconds later, not 10 seconds later, like this, simultaneously, 10 fucking cop cars. Like almost like I was in like some movie, like some Men in Black type shit. Like if the cop car behind me like morphed into like 5 other cars. Literally it looked like that. From just the one car behind me to literally like 6, 7, 8, 9 cars in like a 1 minute period. They just kept coming out of nowhere. At this point, I'm doing like, I don't know, 60 miles per hour on Roosevelt Road trying to get to the expressway. I'm terrified. I'm crying. I'm live. I'm like, you guys, it's not a real cop. I don't know what to do. I'm so scared. And I'm like literally live this entire time. I turned left I went into Broadview. I was heading north, and I was heading towards 290, and I crossed over into Maywood. And 2 cops tried to like pick me off and do like a head-on collision with me. I threw the car in reverse before I could ever even put it in park. All of a sudden, I'm driving 40, 30 miles an hour backwards down Roosevelt Road. I go backwards onto the side street, put it forward, go like the other way, and I'm like going down, I want to say probably like 19th or 25th Avenue, but like 2 blocks over. You know how they have the busy streets and then like the little, like they look like alleys, but they're actual streets. And I'm going down that street, and I'm so scared, and I'm live the entire time. And this black guy, this old black guy, super gray old guy, driving a huge Bourbon, probably like a 2005 or 2004 Chevy Suburban. He pulls his Suburban. I'm crying, you know, and I have my windows down, and it was winter, and I'm crying. I'm like, I'm scared, help me. They're trying to hurt me. And he pulls his Suburban behind my car so I could pass, and picks off the police so that they cannot follow me. And I get on the expressway 290, and I dip to Chicago. I went to report being raped about 3 weeks later. And when I went in person to the police to report being raped, I was put in handcuffs and charged with fleeing and eluding. I kid you not. I swear to God. They made me bond out I had no money. I was sleeping in the backseat of my vehicle. I'm a mom. A fitness influencer who sometimes used to sell sexy content in 2018-19. I worked at the hospital for 6 years downtown. I worked at Alexian Brothers Hospital in the suburbs. I had 10 years of healthcare experience under my belt and 3 children under the age of 12 at home. No, under the age of 14 at home at that time. I was so exhausted, you guys, and I still am, because I've had no closure from any of this. None. No one has apologized to me. I have not received any victim services. I did not receive that bond money back. I wasn't guilty. I didn't flee and elude. I sat there for 10 minutes asking the officer what was going on. He refused to get out of his car. He tried to lure me into a dark, cut-off alley space off of the road. I called 911 and I asked them, who is this person? Is this a real traffic stop? And the dispatch said, we cannot confirm or deny. And get this, after that, when I got to Chicago, because I went to drive DoorDash, and I drove DoorDash for like 3-4 days after that. And I called as soon as I got to like a good stopping point in Chicago, and I called 911 again, and I explained what happened, and they told me, oh yeah, we'll put you in contact with that jurisdiction. And I said, okay, thank you. And they transferred me to the police. I don't even remember the city. And I said to the sheriff, I said, or the what's the name of that guy, like the top guy in the police station? The sergeant. I said to the sergeant, sir, I'm not a criminal. I'm not doing anything wrong. En esos momentos estoy viviendo muy espantada todos los pinches días. I was afraid to come. I was afraid to go. I was afraid to sleep. I was afraid to stay awake. It was terrible. I mean, terrible. There was nothing that would make me feel safe, ever, other than being at home with my kids. And that was the one thing they would not allow for me, for whatever reason. I am a fantastic mother with custody of her children and court-ordered documents saying I'm the custodial parent. But every single time I try to go home, they kick off some more shit. Not my kids, not my family, but like this third party, I don't know what it is. That's why I say it's a simulation. It has to be. It's engineered, it's curated, it's something. And I spoke with the sergeant and I told him, look, like 10 cops just like violently pursued me right now after I stopped and allowed them to, you know, they had ample opportunity to discuss things with me. It was almost like they were planning this, like it was weird, you know. And I explained to him, I have been, you know, subjected to domestic violence in the last 6 months that has led to me being homeless. And I'm literally in the street right now. There's BLM going on. COVID is going on. Everyone's wearing masks. It was so scary, you know. It was a very scary time to be a single woman in the street. And I'm like, please, you know, I don't know what these guys wanted, but when I called 911 and I'm like, and I have a live stream of this, I called 911 and they told me, we don't know if it's a real cop. And I hung up the phone and I drove away. And he goes, well, you need to come here right now because you are being charged with fleeing and eluding. And I said, but I didn't flee and elude from a traffic stop. I waited 10 minutes for a police officer to come out, called 911. They told me that they could not confirm. I said, can you tell me what I should or could have done better? He's in an unmarked car, refusing to show a badge. I'm a single woman alone in the driver's seat of a vehicle, complying with a traffic stop. And he pretty much like laughed in my face and told me, we're going to charge you, and hung up the phone. And I thought it was a joke, you know. I really thought it was like one of you know who's friends. Like they always do fucked up shit like that. That I was like, you know, I was acting dramatic. That probably it was just like 2 or 3 cops when I thought it was 10. They were in unmarked cars, so it probably wasn't really cops. And you know who had done a lot of fucked up shit with my phone. He's like a technology person, you guys. You guys don't understand. He knows how to call forward. So I thought when I was calling the police, he probably call forwarded my phone again. And it was probably another one of his friends. And I probably had nothing to worry about. Well, I went and got sexually assaulted like three days later. Went to go report it to the police. And I swear to God to you, I'm in there reporting rape. I walk in to report rape and they put handcuffs on me and said, you're under arrest for fleeing and eluding. Charged me $400 bond to get out. I had to go to traffic school, and then it was supervision, so it wasn't a conviction, and it fell off of my record after a year. But the point is, I had to pay
I was terrified. I was incredibly alarmed. Driving skills super on point though. And shout out to that guy who picked off those police officers for me, because I mean, I don't know of a single time in my life that I've been as terrified as that time. I don't think one exists, truthfully. I've written about all of this in the novel that I have coming out. I'm at a space where I really, really need access to my technology. I need my computer. I would like to work with ChatGPT and maybe an editor. And I know I could get this book done. And I so many people want me to, I'm already on page like 470 something handwritten. And so many people want me to like continue living life and have like a positive like ending to share, pardon me, because of all the tragedy that I've already survived. And I agree. But at the same time, it's like, I'm 37. I'm 37, 29 if anyone asks. And I'm probably going to live till I'm like 200 years old or something, you know? So why not just put this book out right now, publish this book right now, and come out with, make it a trilogy, you know what I mean? So I am looking for assistance in that area, and I'll split the profits with you if we market this correctly. There are a lot of opportunities. A lot of people know me or know of me and would be interested in reading this book. A lot of people probably think that they have been written about in this book. So I feel like it would make the sale, you know, we could sell it on Amazon. We could do a self-publishing situation. We would not need to put much money up front. I mean, with less than $100, I feel confident that we could publish this book. It's mostly ready to publish. Like I said, if I use ChatGPT, which I can get for under $50 on my phone, and have an editor who's experienced, I know that I could get this book, you know, done really quickly. I've been working on it for a little under 5, a little over 4 years. But that is just one of like numerous situations that I've written about in this novel. There was a time when bandits were doing formations. They were doing literal formations where like they were simulating, I believe it was a simulation of a heist from a truck, from a CDL truck, like one of those big, huge trucks. It was wild, you guys. There's just a lot that I've written about and a lot that I've been through that is painful, that is exhausting, that is exciting, that is amazing, that is, you know, all of these things. But at the end of the day, sitting in these circumstances, I cannot really accomplish much. You know, one of the ladies here at the shelter, she said to me, and like I low-key hated her for saying it, but she was telling the truth. I was like, I keep on rebuilding my life, you know? I keep on rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding. And she interrupted me and she's like, stop. She's like, you can't rebuild your life while you're in a shelter. And I was like low-key offended, like, damn. But she's kind of right, because 2 weeks after we had that conversation, now they're telling me like, we're going to move you. Don't know why, don't know where, don't know when, don't know if Xavier's going to be there with you. You know, don't know if they're going to rape you again, don't know much of anything. But you're not going to be allowed to bring, you know, this, and that. And they don't even give you like a clear answer, like, this is what you can and can't bring with you. This is how much stuff you could bring with you. And everyone gives you a different like explanation. So I did email that lady. I was talking about this earlier on my other live, Azealia. I emailed her with like all the details of what I have, the pumping and what I need, my son's stroller and his car seat and all of that. But apart from the necessities of life, literally 2 bags, anything I buy myself or that someone gives me, they either steal it, tell me I can't have it so that I'll throw it away and then they go take it out of the trash, or, you know, I have to like abandon it somewhere or store it somewhere. So they're telling the truth, you know? I apply like it's my job. Oh my God, I apply like it's my job. It's so frustrating. I get so frustrated with the application process. I'm like, this is ridiculous, you know? We're just living in a time where I cannot tell a lot of days what the best next step is. Xavier was sitting next to me the other day, and I don't remember who told us the security guard or someone told us about like this application for housing. Now, we're under the impression we're already on the Section 8 waiting list. Like, the people who have helped us, we've signed no less than like 50 to 100 forms, Xavier and I, giving all of our personal information, our demographic information, our socials, our birthdays, our legal names. We've signed all these forms, and we've been told that this was for housing. But yet they're putting us in a different shelter, and we go to the HUD and the CHA websites, enter our information, and it says nothing on there. Nothing at all whatsoever. It says nothing. It says there's no client ID that matches that name and information. Like, so what the fuck have they been doing with all these 50, 100 forms that have my name, signature, date of birth, social security, etc., and so forth on them? What's really going on, you know? So tomorrow we're gonna, besides waiting for the email that has all of the specifications and information that I need to know, because here's my another big thing I have. If I'm breast pumping every 4 to 6 hours and I have to have a roommate that's not Xavier, I need Xavier. Like, I need him, is the bottom line. But if I have to go with someone else in a shelter situation where I have to set an alarm on my phone for every 4 to 6 hours, that means at 10 p.m., that means at 1 or 2 a.m., that means at 5 or 6 a.m., I'm going to have an alarm and multiple alarms because I don't always wake up for the first alarm. So my alarm might go off at 5, and then I'll set another one at 5:30. Both of them will be going off till 5:45 until I finally wake up. There's nothing I can do about it. And then I pump. That's loud. And then I take the expressed milk and put it in a sterilized bag. All of this has to be done with the lights on or some sort of light source. I can't see in the dark. I'm not a fucking bat. And then I have to wash the pumping supplies in the sink. And then I have to wander around on, this is my fridge. Stacks gave it to us. And that's where I keep the breast milk. I'm bringing it with. So hopefully they'll let me have it. Because if they don't have it, then I'm just going to be wandering around the hallway, like looking for a fridge at 1 a.m, 4 a.m, random times, 10 p.m., and then come back in the room, open the door. All that is making noise, turning on the light again, washing the bottles out, washing the pump supplies, leaving them to dry, and then go back to sleep for a few hours and do it all again in 3-4 more hours. What roommate is going to be okay and not give me a hard time over that? So then I'm either going to be in a situation where I'm getting bullied or I'm being forced to engage in altercation with someone for feeding my child. We should be way past this. We should not be at the part of my story where I'm just barely getting into a shelter. We've been in a shelter now since February. We should be getting into our own apartment. We should be getting answers and responses and understanding and follow-up and all of that. And it's not confidence that makes me share these things. It's the opposite. It's complete and total insecurity. I am so insecure with the fact that I have been raised to believe in police, to believe in criminal intervention and systemic justice. And I'm getting none of that. None of that. It's terrifying. Like, of course I feel insecure. It's not about sex or anything, looks or weight or anything like that. Like, none of that. I don't feel safe. I don't feel like I have answers. And I miss my children. If there were writers who were going to write a movie or a book or a sitcom about my life, I already let everyone know from the beginning I would never, ever, 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 ever authorize being a part of a horror movie or a tragedy. My life is supposed to be a rom-com. Period. I don't know how to fight. I don't want, to be an adversary with anyone. And I believe that if there's a problem, identifying the problem and coming up with solutions is the answer. That's just what I believe. It's what I've always believed. Come up with solutions, identify the problem. Don't argue with someone, whatever, So Xavier's like literally over here like, well, should I try to turn into a trans so that they'll let me be, in the room with you? This is my husband, Xavier. We have a baby together. We're trying to make a life together. Both of us have been through it. through it, completely through it. Some of the other stuff I've been through. Now understand again, like I said the last time, I'm not a mom who is like out in the streets, like getting it in and doing all of this. I'm a mom who literally was at home with her children every single day, every day. My kids would go with their father on the weekend and I would go to work. Not to go out and club and dance, to go to work. Work in promotions, bottle service, entertainment, whatever, to work. I would make probably like triple what the average person would make on an entry-level income, a minimum wage to like a little higher than minimum wage income. Whatever they were making in 5 days, 8 to 10 hours a day, I was able to make in 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, while also going to visit and support my significant other and take care of anything that I had to take care of that I couldn't take care of while the babies were at home. I was working hard. I was working, always. Never did illicit drugs. Well, that's a lie. I did do illicit, like when you talk about illicit, I've tried like an ecstasy pill before. I smoked pot on the regular basis. Never did I like to do any of that other stuff. I never tried any of the hard stuff. And the white one, like the powder, I hated it. Tried it a couple times, not for me at all whatsoever, not for me. Not even a little. So I'm not like one of these mothers that's out here like partying it up and like living her best life. No, my addiction was to paying my bills and getting my kids the things they needed. That is what I was addicted to. I was addicted to being the best mother that I could possibly be at all times, literally. That was my life. That still is my life. With whatever I'm going through, you know, if that means parenting my children from FaceTime video multiple times a day, if that means my child isn't answering the phone for me, so I blow her up 20 times. My daughter is 18 years old this year. If she's ignoring my phone calls, she doesn't have anyone who's going to go hunt her down and figure out what's going on. I'm going to call. It's a little different with the 10-year-old because she's with her father and he's very, very, you know, his father and his father's, her father and her father's mom are always with her. My 16, 17-year-olds, they're like in that time period where it's like they may or may not be in the house with some sort of parent, you know? So I need to figure it out. Like the 10-year-old's not going outside on her own, you know? With the big kids, I'm like, listen, yes, I'm gonna blow up your shit. I just had a huge fight with my daughter this morning. I didn't really say anything. It was kind of one-sided, but she was being awful because I was blowing her up. And I'm like, bro, so, you know, I'm this type of parent that does not believe in beating up my kid. I've spanked my child in the past. You know, all my children have probably gotten a swat. But like, I'm the type of parent that wants to parent back with love. You know, like when my daughter's being an asshole, I want to be like, yo, what is wrong? Are you okay? It's okay. I love you. This is exactly what I said to my daughter. I said to her, I believe, my daughter is loving. My daughter is kind. My daughter is sweet. My daughter is compassionate. My daughter is smart. My daughter is beautiful. My daughter is amazing. I love my daughter. I said my baby. I love my baby. I really, really try, you guys, so hard. As difficult as it is to parent in this way, especially when you're used to being the primary parent, I just try to keep uplifting them. Like, when I'm an asshole, it means someone has been treating me like real bad, you know? So maybe they can't tell me or won't tell me what's going on exactly, or maybe it's nothing and it's just teenage angst. Isn't that what they say? Either way, I try to just always parent with love, you know, always to the best of my ability. But I want to be with my kids, and I'm terrified of the next steps, you guys. I'm absolutely terrified. I have been in a state of heightened anxiety and anxiousness since we found out we needed to move from here. And even that was not like any sort of like peacefulness. I was feeling safe because I was not in a tent anymore, but I still felt like very scared. What was making me feel peaceful was the fact that we had a meeting where everyone was like, look, you guys are going to get your apartments while you're here. If you're not home, meaning you're not in your room, someone is going to put a letter on your bed that says, this is your case manager who you talk to. You call them and they're going to give you the keys to your apartment or townhome. So I felt like case closed, you know, it's done. This homelessness period is over. I struggled the most and went through everything. And, You know, I could have done a lot of really bad things while I was outside. I didn't. Do you know what I did while I was outside? Nothing. Applied for jobs and cried, literally. Oh, I did do one productive thing, and that's a GoPro solo production. If you guys check that out on Instagram, I was thinking about making a separate TikTok for it. It's kind of like a different spin on, you know, the Dhar man style of like moral and ethical content. It got me asking the question, like, what's your impact? And kind of like trying to stand up to bullies through social media. So I would do, the whole time I was homeless, I curated all of those photo shoots. So I was being productive, besides applying for jobs, besides calling housing, besides looking for shelter, besides checking on my children, besides. I was also building that, what I refer to as a non-for-profit GoPro solo, so that I could try to support other people who were going through what I was going through in my own way. Like, from telling them, I understand, I see you, you're not crazy, I hear you, you're right, I'm not going to gaslight you, I'm not going to tell you that it's not bogus, I'm not going to tell you that, you know, you're wrong for seeing what you see. I want to impact people by telling them that I do see them and that they're right. And what can we do to solve? What can we do to move forward? I don't want to be someone's adversary. You know, I don't want to be anyone's adversary, and I don't want anyone to be my adversary. If we have a disagreement, then let's just agree to disagree, or convince me otherwise, which is another one of my parenting techniques. I always tell my children, if I say something is yes and you say something is no, or the other way around, I'm never going to be the mom that says, shut up and don't talk to me. I'm going to be the mom that's the opposite of that. Like, well, why? You know, convince me otherwise. If you think I'm wrong, tell me why. So it's just craziness, you guys, out here. They have not given us any sort of real answers onto what's going to happen. I sent, like I said, a really long, detailed email kind of letting the director of the next place know, like, listen, I want you to understand that I'm grateful, but I don't want to put myself or my family in a situation to be harmed or to be, you know, I want to give you as much information about how I'm coming in and what my needs are as possible, because we do have other caseworkers who are looking for housing for us. And this shelter, we can be here until July 8th. So I'd prefer not to move from shelter to shelter. I'd prefer to be here until we get our apartment, you know? So this is what we need. Can we make this happen? If we can't make it happen, can we push the move-in date back until, you know, I find a workaround? For instance, this is what I have with me. These are the items I have with me. Can I bring them in? If I can't bring them in, then can we push the date back so that I can find a way to store them? I might need to get a storage, and then I need to do a fundraiser. I usually do my fundraisers on Instagram, or Xavier asks his dad, or my mom sometimes helps. But really, for the most part, it's just been, you know, me doing fundraisers this entire time. And what I call a fundraiser is like just an online virtual fundraising event where I tell people, look, this is what I have a need for. This is what's going on in my life right now. Please help me. And they either do or they don't. But yeah, it's just incredibly anxiety producing. And the way I stay positive through it all is I don't. I start crying and I freak the fuck out, you know? I guess making content and putting yourself out there in an embarrassing way and just, you know, bearing all your business out there is a coping skill in itself, because a lot of people will disagree with me. They'll say, you know, when you vent or when you share your business, people could use it against you. I've seen the opposite happen, you know. I've seen people's dirty laundry get used against them, and these people have been puppets and dogs with a collar around their neck for the rest of their lives. Their children, their families are affected, and I never wanted that for myself. You know, I always wanted to be out there and forward with my battles and my adversities and my struggles, because if you hear it from me, then you know what it is. You know, I don't need to defend any rumors. I don't need to say they're wrong, they're right. I don't even need to address the gossip. If I put it out there and say what it is, then that's what it is, and I don't need to entertain anything else. Not only that, but I also don't need to be extorted. There's no one that's going to come to me and be like, if you don't XYZ, I'm going to tell social media that you blah, blah, blah. Well, they already know. So, you know, that's my own preference. But some of these social media people, you guys, are just ridiculous. Like, there's some group that is getting funded, and the girls who are getting like FaceTime on their campaigns are fucking and sucking for it. Literally. I am not lying. They are putting people off of their teams if they don't engage in like sexual acts with them. It's crazy. It is crazy out here. And that's another one of my fears. I don't want to go into this next shelter space. Xavier and I were promised that we would never be separated. We're a couple. We're in the system together, and we have a baby that we're, you know, and we have services together. Even the people here promised we would never be separated. But if we are, like, is that not just putting us in a more vulnerable position to be sexually assaulted? Both of us? It's just so scary out here, you guys. I've never gone through anything like this. To give you guys a little backstory, a little background, I grew up in the Western burbs, like kind of wealthier, you know, like upper middle class. When I was 14 years old, my mother abandoned me in a third world country. She said she was saving my life. I had never committed a crime. I had no criminal record at all, but I was being targeted through my school and my like school district as one of the kids that needed like Rainbows, which is like a counseling program where kids who have divorced parents are referred to see a counselor in a group, and then from there they're referred to psychologists, and they were like trying to prescribe us all this stuff. And my mom didn't know what to do, and she sent me to this place in Jamaica it's called Tranquility Bay. You guys could Google it. It's a WWASP school. So a lot of craziness went down there. I saw them snap a boy's arm, like if it was a twig, snap his arm. A girl killed herself right before I got there. She jumped over the balcony and killed herself. And they were installing metal bars on like all of the railings of all of the elevated hallways, because the school building was outside. You would go from door to door. You had to go outside to go from each school building. It was just a really scary place, and I didn't know I was going, and it was advertised as like a beach volleyball paradise for children who had an attitude, and my mom thought that it was like this beautiful place. She thought she was sending me to like, you know, paradise, and it was not that. We had to wash our clothes in a bucket, and it was like military style, like your hair had to be in a neat, tidy bun at the back of your head. If you had any hair hanging down in your face, you got written up for a violation of dress code. If you got 3 violations of dress code, you went to something called observation placement, where you had to lay on your face in the cement with no yoga mat, no nothing. If you were lucky, you got a towel, and you had a water bottle, and that's it for hours, sometimes days at a time. And so that was when I was 14. When I came home, I had no trust for anyone. I was pretty fucked up when I came home. Trust issues would be understatement of the year. I trusted no one. I trusted no one or nothing. And I just spent like the next few years trying to finish up school, and I was on my own after that. I was in various group homes and various just homes for like runaway kids, and I always just wanted to go home to my mom, but I couldn't. For whatever reason, I couldn't. I aged out of the programs at 17 years old. I was 17 and a half when I got my own apartment. I had 2 roommates. I worked at Quiznos Subs. I started college before my 18th birthday at College of DuPage. Finished high school early, like 17 years old. I finished high school. I want to say it was January of 2005, maybe, or 4, I think. Started college right away. Was very, very lonely. Was craving like family, like the family dynamic that I had grown up with. Had nothing. You guys, I had nothing. Like nobody was giving me money. Nobody was helping me. I was on my own with nothing. And something that I find very interesting as well is that when you are raised a certain way from love, as I commonly refer to it, when you're raised from love and then all of a sudden love is like cut off, it is awful. it is awful. It is very difficult to find your way after that, to find your footing after that. When I'm not trying to compare traumas and say that a kid who never had love is better off than a kid who had it and then lost it. But for me, going from this stable, loving environment, it gave to nothing, to just being out there on my own. Not only did it give me these tremendous trust issues, it gave me abandonment issues to boot. You know, it made me question everything about myself. What is wrong? Why doesn't my mother love me? Why doesn't my father love me? And then from there, it was like, well, I know my father loves me so much and he would help me if he could. Why is God making it so that my father also struggles so that he can't help me? I know he would if he could. Then once he was in a position to be able to, I couldn't. You know, so it's opened up a whole bunch of pain going through this situation over the last 4 years, this homelessness. You know, it has opened up a whole bunch of trauma that I've already closed the door through. I've already moved on past, because you know what happens is we tend to build the lives that we needed. And that's what I did. And that's the kind of mother I was. I was all up in my kids' shit because I didn't feel like that with my mom. With my mom, I felt like the only time she was in my shit was to come down on me, you know, or be strict with me. And I love my mother, you know, don't get me wrong. I love my mother. I still to this day want more of a relationship with my mother than I have, but as I have my entire life. But for me and my kids, I made them my best friends and also my children, you know. So I wanted the tea from school. I wanted to listen in a way that was non-judgmental. I'm never going to be that mom that's like, sure, invite your friends over and get drunk. No, not me. Not me. My kids have a healthy fear, you know, to share things with me, but they know they can at the end of the day. You know, they know that they can. And I worked really hard for that relationship with them because that was what I needed. But what a fucked up turn of events when I was abandoned in a third world country at 14 years old. And then, you know, who comes home? They do the reality show. And my daughter is 14 years old, entering high school, and has to go stay with her father. And I have been going through this her entire high school career. I will never forgive myself. There's nothing. I know that 99% of this has nothing to do with me. I know that. And I truly know that. I know that I've done above and beyond what I could, contacting law enforcement, following the laws, following the rules, doing what I was supposed to, being extorted by a cop and still doing what I could. David Shepard, shout out to David Shepard for Republican Party candidate. Yes, you did extort me, no hard feelings. But there's just has been no answers. There's been no answers. There's been no acknowledgement. There's been nothing. There's been nothing. There's been no restitution. There's been no apology. Like, nothing, you guys, nothing. And when someone tells you, you're going to do this, and if you don't do this, I'm going to take away your child, or you're going to do this, or if you don't do this, it's going to end up in some sort of bodily harm against you or the people you love, well, then you're going to do whatever they say you have to do, and that's called extortion. So all that's been reported to the law, and I've written about it in my book. And I truly feel like that's probably a big part of the reason why they don't want the book to publish. So if there's anyone who wants to help me publish, please find me. Help me publish. I carry this book around with me. I've carried it. You guys don't even know what this book looks like. There's paragraphs missing because they've been weather damaged or burned or scrumpled up or rained on or snowed on. But I have them. I have them nonetheless. I have all of them. What else can I tell you guys about? I feel like having a banana muffin. See, my breast milk is in here. And then I have one day that I forgot to bring for my son last week. Because that's all that fits is one day in that freezer. And then this is the breast milk that I don't bring. I can't bring the breast milk from Fridays or Saturdays because you're only allowed to keep the breast milk in the fridge for 4 days. And I don't have a large freezer. So it's just confusing and it's exhausting. And you just keep wondering to yourself, what the hell's going on here? And when will it be back to normal life, you know? So yeah. I don't want to cry, anymore, but I'm so sad and I'm so scared. And everyone's like, well, just be happy. And I'm like, I'm trying. I don't want to go to another place. I want to go home. I want my home back. I want to be with my babies. So hopefully these caseworkers come through. Hopefully, they make good on their word and they put us in a townhome or an apartment that's large enough for my family and I can get back to it. You have no idea how bad I just want to cook. Like, what was on my menu? What was on my menu when 4 years ago when life was normal? Okay, I'll tell you. Mini turkey meatloafs. I made mini turkey meatloafs in a cupcake pan, like the size of a meatball, and then I would put ground turkey, 4 or 5 eggs so that they'd be high in protein, because I'm always high protein, lean meats, etc. and so forth. Mix it all up: eggs, ground turkey, salt, pepper, Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of ketchup. Put it in the shape of a meatball, a big one. Put it in a cupcake pan, bake it. Bring it out, put a little red sauce on top. Serve it with some green beans, salad, and maybe like some red potatoes, roasted red potatoes or mashed potatoes. That was one of my go-tos. Crock pot chili. Turkey or ground sirloin, either way, another one of my go-tos. If you guys are familiar with the Banza brand of protein, it's chickpea pasta, and so it's high protein. It's like 20 or something like that grams of protein per serving. So I would make that the either the shells or the cavatapis, and then that would be like 2 or 3 days worth of meals with the turkey chili or the sirloin chili on top of the Banza. And then I was a huge fan of cauliflower pizza. I would always cook that like once a week. Hot dogs with shells and cheese or regular mac and cheese and green beans. My kids love green beans. Pizza. Every time we would have pizza, we would always grab a Little Caesars if I was not doing well that week. Like if I didn't have a lot of extra money or if I had rent to pay or something, I would go get a Little Caesars. If not, we would order probably from Cacharo's. That's my neighborhood pizzeria when you're not low on cash. And every single time I would serve pizza for dinner, I would make a big, huge salad with it. Huge salad with pizza. Burgers, Bubba burgers, you guys. Delicious. The sweet onion flavor, fire. I love those. What else? Sweet potatoes. I would make them into sweet potato fries. Breakfast would be avocado toast and tomato toast with turkey bacon, or breakfast potatoes. Those red potatoes, thinly sliced, and then fry it up and then scramble eggs and mix it all together. And I would cook it like that in a big, huge casserole dish, and I would have it for 3 days that I just had to throw it in the microwave. What else? Mariano's. Shout out to Mariano's. My favorite grocery store in the city of Chicago. Mariano's grills your meat for free. Legit. You go there, you tell them what you want. I would get like 5 pounds of steak and like 5 pounds of chicken. And then I would ask them to butterfly cut it and then take it over to the grill, have them grill it up while I would do the rest of my grocery shopping. And then wait, what did I say? I was verifying. Oh yeah, chicken and steak, have them grill it up at the grill, go do the rest of your grocery shopping. It's free. They grill it for free. By the time you're done with your grocery shopping, fat-free frozen yogurt cones. The vanilla cones, they would be so clutch with 3 kids. Going to somewhere like, what's that place called that rolls your ice cream? Stone Cold. That place was too much for me, you guys. Like, literally, we took the kids to that frozen yogurt place that has all the toppings, the self-serve toppings. It was like $60 for me, you know who, and the 3 kids. Now I have Weston too. There's no way we're ever going there again unless if I'm rich, you know? So McDonald's is super clutch for ice cream cones or sundaes. And it's delicious. The ice cream is delicious. But I wasn't really like one of those moms that did a lot of fast food. I would always cook. I would always cook chuletas with arroz con gandules. If it was gonna be fast food, it would be something like borinquen or like, you know, something like a Cocharo's pasta or like Chinese food, like something with substance. You know what I mean? And I miss that. Like, I'm tired of being moved around to these spots where I have to eat, you know, lo que sea, whatever they say. I want to eat from my kitchen. I want to cook. I want to eat from love and deliciousness. I want to cook for me. I want to cook for Xavier. I want to cook for the kids. So pray for me, you guys. Please pray. Please pray. Pray and pray and pray. If you want to donate, if you want to be a sponsor, please go in the DM and write down, I would like to help you and your situation. That's the only messages that I will ever respond to because I have no time for arguing. None. I mean, I obviously am a nice person. Like, so if you say something like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 what do you think about this? And it's like something that's not mean, then I answer, you know? But if it's just like someone being rude, I just don't even have time. If you want to donate or you want to be a sponsor, please let me know. Please. I have Zelle, I have Cash App, I have PayPal, I have Gmail, GPay, I have, yeah, that's what I have. So, and I also have TikTok where you can buy me tons of flowers and hearts with clouds on them or hands or roses or whatever the gifts are. I love those and thank you for sending them. But yeah, I'm trying to be positive. I think that I'm doing a good job. I think that overall, I feel like in my life, I have been putting in work with regards to the bad karma side. Like, not bad karma like I deserve something bad, because I don't. I truly don't. But
I'd rather be right now at this time looking at the situation like, well, all the bad things that have happened to me, you know what they mean? They mean that there's going to be an equal and opposite coming soon, you know? That all of the struggle, all of the pain, all of the hurt, all of the heartache, all of the is going to come back in reverse as something positive and beautiful and amazing, and you know, my kids will be there and life will be fantastic again like it once was, you know. And my biggest problem will be, what am I going to cook for dinner tonight? God, I was so spoiled that was my biggest problem at some time, you guys. That was my biggest problem. And while it was my biggest problem, I still felt like, oh my God, this is so hard. Like, I do not even know what the hell. Once a year, go someplace you've never been before, Dalai Lama. I don't know if I believe in these little quotes on the TV. You guys know that channel Music Choice? It's in like a lot of hotels and stuff. They have that, and there's like a landscape, like this red rock, and then like a quote. Some of them sound so simulated, like they just say that someone famous said them just to sound good. Like, are there even that many quotes? Like, who's been walking around before the times of cell phones, like writing down what people say, like, oh, she said this and it was him. And then like, how does it, before we had content, how did like people's quotes get saved as their quotes, you know? And yeah, that's one of my many ponderances. Who is it? Okay, I have to go. It's Xavier. Do you want to say hi to TikTok? Okay, hold on.
Come on, please. Don't have the phone in my face, though. Say hi once. Hello.
Okay.
Rest your head.
Okay, thank you. Is it diet?
No, it's regular Mr. Pibb.
Babe. All right, you guys. Well, Xavier just got back with food, so I'm going to jump off the internet and eat for a little bit. As I said before, if you could please pray for me, send me calm vibes, send me vibes of like happiness and safety and protection and good things and unity with my family and my children and vindication and exoneration and all of that. And that would be great. And I appreciate you. And if you'd like to send a gift, that's always welcome as well. Thank you.